We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night. Welcome to Vikings Uncensored. We are getting close to wrapping up the preseason. One more game to go. Excuse my voice. I have been getting, I think the Canadian wildfire smoke might be giving me fucking emphysema, but we'll worry about that later. But,
hey, you don't say, don't you know, eh?
Yeah, why don't you take care of that smoke up there, bud? Why don't you do something about it there?
What you talking about?
Hosers. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Hey, look, Norsefius was the first one to comment tonight.
Wow,
About time
he
you
was
get here on
early
time,
tonight.
dude.
On
Two-Tone,
time.
good evening. Doc, good evening. Ant, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Been a busy week in Viking land. Of course, not only wrapping up training camp, Land of Ice and Snow, good evening. Welcome back. Vikings traveling today, I believe. There should be there by now to
I think
Tennessee.
they had a joint practice today, didn't they?
Did they have a joint practice today?
I think they had one joint practice before tomorrow.
Okay. So, yeah, anyway, they are in Nashville to take on the Titans tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time, I believe. Final preseason game, of course, the starters will not play.
This is huge for those bubble players. This is a huge game for those guys right on the fringe of the roster.
And we will talk about that later, as Lance and I will give you our predictions for at least the initial 53-man roster. But Dave, good evening, my friend. Welcome.
Yes, good evening to you all. I don't say that enough. I usually let Rhino take that. But yes, good evening to all of our commenters tonight.
Yes, Ant, your
you don't
crush,
say.
Your boy crush will play tomorrow. Breaking news, my sources are telling me that Rhino sells campers. I'm not actually selling a camper, Ryan. That's a buddy of mine is selling his, so I just, since I'm a big fucking deal, I post on my Facebook page so that other people can see it. So, because I am a fancy man, ho ho. Anyway, let's hit the news, and of course the 310-pound gorilla in the room.
What, did something happen this week?
Yeah, I just heard something about it, but I figure it's worth talking about. We'll check it out here, but yeah, big news this week, of course. Yesterday, the Vikings traded nose tackle Harrison Phillips to the New York Jets for a 2026 sixth rounder, and then they also swapped next year's seventh rounder and got a sixth rounder back. So basically,
I love this move. I love this move. We go from having Harrison Phillips arguably being our best defensive lineman to him becoming expendable after this offseason. So, yeah. I mean, I seen it, what was it, a couple of weeks ago I had mentioned these younger guys really probably pushing Harrison Phillips for some playing time. Well, that just got completely tossed out the window, and these young, hungry guys are going to come in and show what they really got.
Well, I mean, last week during the joint practices with the Patriots, Ingram Dawkins was running with the ones,
Dude,
and
Ingram
Harrison Phillips.
Dawkins put Garrett Bradbury into Drake May's lap in the preseason.
Right. But I mean, Harrison Phillips was running with the twos. So, I mean, that kind of told you something there. Um, yeah, land of ice and snow. That's a great point here. Very nice guy. Yeah, that's where the biggest thing Harrison Phillips was a decent player, not an
Yes,
elite
you
player.
mentioned this earlier to me, what you're about to say, and I agree
Right.
with it 100%.
He was a good player, but the Vikings are going to miss him off the field more
The
than they're
human
going to miss
being,
him on the field.
the human being that he is a big loss, I believe,
Yes.
for the organization. But as far as a player goes, he was average at best in his time here.
Well, I'm not going to say he was a good player, but he's a great human being.
I'll
He
say he
was
was
the
a good
wall.
player, but not a great player. I'll go that far. But as far as a human being, like you
Yeah,
said, goes,
he was a very solid player.
yes.
Yeah, and we could have gotten more for him.
I don't
This,
think so. I don't think so. I think Phillips is in the twilight of his career.
I
His
mean,
play has really been on the downswing as of the last couple of seasons. Um, I know the PFF isn't the do all say all thing, but his PFF grades have not been that great.
yeah,
Yeah,
Ryan.
that too. He's been
This is
playing out of
exactly right.
position.
Harrison Phillips has played out of position the entire time he's been here. He is not a nose tackle. He's a in a 4-3. He's a 3 tech. In a 3-4. He's a 5 tech. He should not be
Even
playing.
more reason to trade him, in my
Right.
opinion. I
AJ,
think
good evening.
I'm looking for huge things out of Redmond and Ingram Dawkins, and a guy I do have making our roster after walking on and really making a name for himself in Elijah Williams.
Mm-hmm. Elijah Williams has knocked it out of the fucking park during training camp. And I
Quessy
think
has knocked it out of the park since he's got here, finding these guys from the abyss of out of from nowhere. As
right.
far as these UDFAs and these guys that are not very highly touted, and getting the most out of them as an organization has been something that we have been able to do very greatly since Quessy's came in.
Yeah. And nobody's going to trade him for a wide receiver 3. He's a
No.
run stuffing defensive lineman. The
Doesn't
value for
offer
those
much in the
the
pass
val
rushing aspect.
if he was a pass rushing defensive lineman, yeah, you could have gotten a haul for him.
Those are hot commodities, pass rushing defensive linemen, yes. But when
Right.
he only
But
is much more of a run stuffer, you're not going to get those higher.
He didn't have a lot of pass rush ability.
No.
When he got a sack, it was more somebody else chased him into him kind of thing. It wasn't, he was a very good run stuffer, but an average at best pass defenseman. But
Exactly, AJ. Exactly. I like the trade. I think now is the perfect time, and just the influx of youth by getting rid of Harrison Phillips that this team really needs, because we are older roster, but not. I mean, but letting these young guys come in that are hungry and ready to play and show their worth is going to be huge for this game in the long run.
yeah. Yeah, Norris. I mean, we've talked about
It's
this a lot.
gotten better. I believe
It has gotten better. And I think, and rightfully so. I mean, the 2022 draft was abysmal. I mean,
People
it's
need to
horrible.
flush that down the toilet and just get over it. It is what
Right.
it is, and let's move forward from that. But the thing is we've been competitive as long as Quessy's been here, and he's been a big part of that. And the culture change, Josh, that Quessy and KOC have brought in the last 4 years is somewhere 5 years ago we never thought we'd see in a long time. Where this team has serious aspirations for a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So,
and Josh's comment coming
we're
up here.
getting there, buddy.
We're getting there, but part of the deal with the trade for Harrison Phillips, back to Ant's thing about saying we could get more for him. Part of the deal on here is that the Vikings, as it sat right now, are like $60 million over the cap next year. Trading him now removes a bunch of cap, or it's a fair amount of cap space, 7-8 million, I think it is next year. So that helps bring that down a little bit. This is absolutely right too, Ryan.
Yes.
His free agency stuff has been nothing short of stellar. I mean, just look at
Yeah,
some of the guys we brought in free
he's
agency: Grenard, Van Ginkel, Cashman. Now this year,
and
Allen, Hargrave,
as much
Aaron
as much as
Jones.
yes, as much as a Quessy's still learning as far as the drafting goes, he's one of the more elite GMs when it comes into bringing these free agents in.
Right, but one thing you have to think about, and I'm going to put this out there with the 2022 draft. Kevin O'Connell did not get hired until late February because the Rams went to the
Right.
Super Bowl.
Right.
So, and when Kwesi got hired in, we were still dealing with Spielman's scouts, Spielman's draft people who were looking for stuff that Spielman and Zimmer liked. They were not looking for stuff that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell liked because Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell were not in the picture.
And you got to remember, Donatel was also the defensive coordinator here before Flores, and he had
There
a
is
speak.
that
in
too.
what they were going to draft on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thielens, we're going to get to the wide receiver thing in a second. We got a couple more news items I want to hit first, Nick, because I think the wide receiver is going to be a rabbit hole that we're going to be down for a while. So let's hit these a couple other ones quick. Former Viking Daniel Jones won the starting quarterback job over in Indianapolis. Is the Trent Richardson experiment over after 15 games in Indy? I don't know that.
Now there's murmurs coming about us possibly trading for Anthony Richardson.
There is,
yep.
But it may not be this year. They may hold on to him this year, but they would let him go next year.
And the longer that Indy holds on to him, unless he comes and steps in for a backup and lights the world on fire, his value is going to go down.
Right.
So
we'll just put that out here right now as a potential future look. Anthony Richardson could be backup quarterback for this team within the next 2 years.
That's very possible.
Because
and Brosmer has a lot of control over that too, depending on his development.
Well, there is that too. But the Vikings did want Anthony Richardson 2 years ago.
Yeah.
From what I've been hearing from a couple of people, they put a big trade package out there to move up to get him.
If you go back and you watch some Vikings Uncensored episodes from back in that draft period time, we were really high on Anthony Richardson as well.
Yeah, I was. I mean, and if anybody could fix him, it's Kevin O'Connell. But
and a lot of these quarterbacks, truthfully, and we've talked about this before, it comes down to the organization they end up with.
Right.
And who is developing them.
And this fits that whole thing Kevin O'Connell said last year about organizations fail quarterbacks long before young quarterbacks fail the organization.
And he's echoed that just recently as well.
Anthony Richardson was not ready to start. He should have sat for a year.
Or 2 years even. He was extremely raw coming in. He is still raw. I mean, this is his third year coming into the league?
Yeah, and he's played 15 games.
Yeah. The kid is still raw. He's like a Trey Lance, who we were all so high on, who honestly looks like a completely different quarterback this year. He looks competent.
Trey Lance looks really good
under Jim Harbaugh's tutelage. Right, yes.
Yep.
I mean, I think the same thing could be said for Anthony Richardson. It just ends up where you go in the system that you go into. You form your system around your quarterback.
Right.
So,
would I want Anthony Richardson as a starter right now? Absolutely not.
No.
But we'll deal with that. We'll worry about that down the road here. But just file that in the file cabinet. We'll talk about it later.
That's another great point, Josh.
Yeah, but I mean, look how much damage
get that confidence back.
But look how much damage had been done to Sam Darnold, and look what Kevin O'Connell did with him last year.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great point.
So, they're not converting him to tight end. No.
Oh.
Anyway, let's keep moving on here. Justin Jefferson back at practice this week, so on track to play week 1 as everybody figured. They've just been super careful with him.
One thing I've noticed for as long as we've been covering this team on a podcast level, and we've been, really having to go and look for news, is a lot of the smallest things get blown up in Vikings news.
Oh,
a lot of the
I have
small
no idea what
stories.
you're talking about, Lance. Viking social media is some of the most level-headed, rational people I've ever seen in my life.
And most of the time, the things that get blown up are completely the opposite of what is about to transpire. So,
yeah, we'll get to Adam Thielen.
we're
here in a
getting
minute.
there. We're getting there, guys.
Getting
You guys
there.
are chomping at the bit for this talk.
Yeah, so I got a couple more news items I want to hit quick, then we'll get into that.
A couple more nuggets.
Vikings did sign a running back this week, Xavier Valladay, that would be, as our buddy Ted Glover said on the Twitter machine yesterday, if you could play his name on Scrabble, it would be like a quadruple word score, 300-point win the fucking game kind of a thing. But he was with the Saints. They released him. Basically, this tells me is they need another back
for the last preseason game.
For the last preseason game.
And we've done this before in earlier preseason games in other years where we brought in somebody just to fill out the roster for that game and let them. I mean, we're just giving them we're letting them get some tape out there for other teams as well.
Right.
We're doing people a solid.
Yeah, we'll come back to that, AJ, and if I lose it because it scrolls down here,
if we lose it, AJ, please just copy and paste or bring it back up again. We'll get there though, buddy.
Next thing, Andrew Van Ginkel still not practicing. He's been out for like a week.
I heard it's not anything severe. It's just they're just Well,
and it was the same thing with the final practice at home yesterday when Jordan Addison and Ty Felton both went down.
Just precautionary, holding them out. Yeah.
Yeah. But they said today that they were fine, nothing wrong with them. Yep, that's exactly right, Norris, which we'll talk about that when we get into our 53 projections because I think that tells us something right there.
No, Ant, I don't believe that's true either. We're getting there. I know Rhino has maybe another one thing but no, you can't get Roman. They are high on Roman Wilson over there in Pittsburgh. So,
yeah. And then the final one, of
course.
I
would love to get him, yes.
Okay, now we will lead into the wide receiver discussion with this. Jalen Naylor has been called week to week with that hand injury. He was not at practice the first couple days this week. I have heard rumors that he went in and had some sort of surgery done in his hand.
Unless he elevates his game, I'm about done with Jalen Naylor, to be honest.
I can't confirm that with Naylor, but that does leave the Vikings wide receiver core very, very shallow to start the first 3 games of the season, with, of course, Jordan Addison being out for the first 3 games.
We did the same thing last year, waiting for Hawkinson to come back too, and then
So with that, of course, the biggest rumor mill / whatever out there with the Minnesota Vikings is that they are going to be trading for a wide receiver. Now, I have heard from multiple people, beat writers, people that are very well connected with the team, that the Vikings are definitely making phone calls.
Yeah.
Of course, the prevailing one among Vikings fans is bringing back Adam Thielen, soon to be 35-year-old Adam Thielen. He is.
Rhino, when Thielen left here, both you and I were on the page where we thought maybe there wasn't much left in the tank. And it's very seldom I do this, but he is one of the few players that have been here before that I'm actually for bringing back. I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. I think this could be his last ride off into the sunset. I would be 100% in on bringing back Thielen. I think that would bring a boost of energy to the locker room too, getting him back here and pairing him back up with Jefferson for the first 3 weeks and then sliding him into that number 3 role after such. But that comes back to, is Thielen willing to drop down to that number 3 receiver after Addison returns?
I think he would be. The thing of it
I would love to bring the Golden Boy back home. And it's not very often I'm one of those guys that wants to run it back with a player that we've had formerly. You can go back and look at episodes of the show. A lot of times, Rhino and I both are against bringing back a player that we've already had and that are past their prime. But Thielen is somebody I would be willing to bring back and let him get one last ride because the talent is still there. He's been the number 1 receiver for Carolina the last 2 years and still produced at a high level, even though I thought there was nothing there anymore.
Yeah, Grant. I mean, in 2023, he did have 1,000 yards. Last year, he missed 6 or 7 games, I think, with an injury. That's a little concerning.
The biggest thing in Thielen's game is getting that separation still. He's able to get that separation still. Yeah. And he's got great hands, so he can make contested catches.
Yep. AJ, this is a great point with Naylor. It's been frustrating all preseason.
That's what I was mentioning earlier. Unless he does something like upping his game, I'm done with Jalen Naylor. I feel the same way about Naylor as I feel about Ty Chandler right now.
Yep. Now, my thought on Adam Thielen. Okay, he has been worked with J.J. McCarthy in the offseason the last two years. So there is some familiarity there. There is familiarity with the system. And Two-Tone, this is a great point. He's a very good red zone target. He's a possession receiver at this point.
Red zone target, yes.
My problem with him is that he's 35 years old and carries a $7 million cap hit this year, of which unless we could get Carolina to pay part of. Now, was that part of the reason why we moved on from Harrison Phillips, is to clear up a little more cap?
We have $30 million in cap. We're going to make a move for somebody.
But the Vikings, I think, want to carry as much of that cap over to next year as we can, because right now, like I said earlier,
I can understand that. But
we're 50-something.
If they want to truly go all in on this season, they'll go get that guy, whoever it is that they covet, that is available in the trade market.
Well, and this brings up the next name. We can talk about Thielen again a little bit more here in a bit, but one of the names. And right now, the Commanders are still saying they have no interest in trading him, but that they still do not have a contract set up for Terry McLaurin. And I have heard, there's been at least no less than 3, maybe 4 national pundits that I have seen that have put the Vikings as a potential landing spot for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I love me some scary Terry.
The problem
he's 29. He's 29 or 30.
The problem with McLaurin is he's 29. He wants to get paid.
He wants another chunky contract, yes.
Right. Are the Vikings going to want to pay him the kind of money that he wants? Because basically it would be a 1-year rental on McLaurin.
Yeah, it would be a 1-year deal. That would be an all-in move for the Vikings.
Because next year you would either have to sign a 30-year-old Terry McLaurin to a long-term deal, or you would look to sign Jordan Addison to a long-term deal. And between you and me, I'd take Jordan Addison 12 times out of 10. But don't get me wrong. I like Terry McLaurin. He's a hell of a player.
I do too. I'm a big fan. And he's a dog, just like Josh is saying. He's somebody that comes to play when it's clutch time, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy I would like to possibly get a look at, if he's available, would be like a Garrett Wilson from New York. Young.
Now that Aaron Rodgers is out of there and Devontae Adams is out of there, they're not going to get rid of Garrett Wilson. They need weapons for Justin Fields, and Garrett Wilson is one of the top 5 to 7 wide receivers in this league.
I've heard he's a little disgruntled up there in New York, though, as well.
He was last year. Yeah, he wanted out last year. But with Rodgers gone and Adams out of there, he's back to being the number 1 wide receiver again. So now there is another wide receiver up in New York that I've
No.
heard.
Lazard.
This is basically the $5 DVD bin at Walmart, but Alan Lazard has been a guy that
He's another guy that can't stay. He's another guy that can't stay healthy.
no,
He can't stay
I
healthy
I
for a
really
full
don't
season.
want anything to do with Alan Lazard. There has been rumors that the Green Bay Packers might be considering moving on from Romeo Dobbs. If he were to become available, I'd take him in a heartbeat.
I take Dobbs over Lazard for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'd take Thielen over Lazard, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, I would too. I would too.
yeah, Lucky Jackson. Yeah, Lucky Jackson had a prime opportunity to grab the brass ring and secure himself on a roster. And that game last week against New England was terrible for him.
It could have been worse. I don't think. So.
No, everything they threw at him, he dropped. He can go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and cut Roman. Yeah, Roman Wilson. I would take. I like him.
I would take Roman Wilson in a heartbeat just because he was like McCarthy's go-to guy in college behind Loveland.
Yeah. Another guy that's been tossed out there is Tinsley, wide receiver from the Bengals.
He had a hell of a preseason game last week.
Yeah, I mean he's an undrafted guy but last year had a really good season.
I like Corley. I like me some Corley. He's got some return skills too.
Yeah. JJ would love to have Roman here. Yeah, he would.
Exactly. Yes.
So all I can say, I guess, for the wide receiver thing is just hold on to your boots because something will happen within the next.
And
week.
the thing is that Quessie's known for these big time splash moves when you least expect it too. So.
And they're not getting rid of Juwan Jennings with the mash unit that the San Francisco's got down there. They're not
and with the injury that he's dealing with. I was huge on Juwan Jennings coming here as well, but he's dealing with the injury right now too.
I like Juwan Jennings, but the Niners aren't going to get rid of him. Yep, AJ exactly right there too. So trading for an injured wide receiver is not going to help us out any because we're going to need the help for the first 3 weeks. So. Do the Vikings make a trade within the next 3 days?
If you're going to trade for somebody that you want to come in and start week 1, you better do it pretty damn quick, Rhino.
Right. So, I mean, and that's the thing. We talked about this a little bit last week. If you wait until cutdown, which cutdowns have to be done by Tuesday, I think it is. So
yeah.
if you wait until Tuesday to see who gets cut, if it's not somebody who's from a similar system, whether it be from the Rams, whether it be from the 49ers, whether it be, whatever, to come in here, learn the playbook in a week and be able to be productive on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears is a lot to ask.
I don't think Pearsall's available either. He's the best receiver in San Francisco right now.
Yeah, I don't think they'd move him there, but yeah, and there will be surprise cuts. Not going to argue that point whatsoever, but the problem is, like we just said, is getting somebody in here that can learn the system and be productive week 1.
I mean, common sense to me, and if it's available and you can get him for the right price, Thielen makes the most sense to me. Thielen makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
If you're looking on a 1-year deal, the guy that can get it done, and you're not taking that big of a risk, and you're not giving up a lot, Thielen makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you could trade a 6th to get Thielen and then maybe have them eat a couple million of his contract for this year, yeah, I'm fine with that.
No, I'm Brandon Powell.
No. Brandon Powell didn't.
If we were going to get Brandon Powell, we would have got him already before we made the Harrison Phillips trade.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Amari Cooper, with OBJ, with Tyler Boyd, with Gabe Davis. All those guys have been sitting out there. Steven, good evening. Welcome back. Sunny,
I haven't seen
good
Steven
evening.
in here for a while.
No. So, I mean, if we wanted one of those guys that have been sitting out there as a free agent, they'd have been here already.
We would have went and scooped him up already, yes.
Yep.
That's why I'm starting to believe that we're gonna go pick somebody up on the trading block, or we're gonna wait until Tuesday to see the cut downs and go from there. And if we don't like who's on the free agents list after cut down day, then we're gonna make that big trade. So
Yeah, there that is a
hey,
possibility, Lone Wolf.
there we go.
I mean, good evening, by the way.
If Carolina knows we want him, though, they're going to try to deal him to us before they make the
Yeah,
53-man cuts. There's a business aspect to that as well. So
AJ. Yeah, I mean, to Brandon Powell's. I mean, just to stick up for him a little bit, that wasn't his decision to be the tush pusher. That was a Kevin O'Connell thing, and yeah, that was one of the dumbest plays Kevin O'Connell has run since he's been here, and he did it twice. So
I like Tyler Boyd, but he's a little long in the tooth now too. I like Boyd coming out. I was big on Boyd coming out.
But Tyler Boyd in his prime
again,
with the Bengals was a good player.
Again, if Boyd was somebody that we would have wanted, he's available now. We would have went and scooped him up waiting until the last.
If we wanted him, he'd be here.
So
and those guys. I mean, I'm not saying any of those guys won't be here, but they're not our first option or first. Because if they were, yes, to your point, they would be here already. But anyway, we've hammered on that quite a bit. How about we roll into our predictions for the 53-man roster? Now, we'll preface this calling it the 53 after the initial cutdowns because there will be potentially some movement after that. Wide receiver will be one place that we have to be looking. So looking at the roster as it sits, we will go with that and make our predictions with the 53s. So we'll start off on the offensive side of things. At the quarterback, I have J.J. McCarthy, obviously quarterback 1. I do have Sam Howell on the roster as quarterback 2, but I'm going to preface that with there is a distinct possibility if somebody better gets cut that they could replace Sam Howell with somebody else because Sam Howell was, like we talked about Lucky Jackson a little bit ago, had a prime opportunity to cement his position in that game against New England, and he shit the bed.
I think Sam Howell's getting the whole first half this next game.
Wouldn't be surprised. But then at quarterback 3, I do have Max Brosmer making it. They would not be able to get him to the practice squad. Somebody's going to pick him up.
No. That's exactly my 3 guys too at quarterback, and I believe I'm on the same page 100% with what you just said.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Howell not even make the team and us to go pick up another veteran like a Jameis Winston. Not that I want Jameis Winston. I'm not saying that I do.
But Jameis, as a backup, Jameis Winston would be fine.
Right. And then there's somebody else.
Do I want Jameis Winston as our full-time starter? Absolutely not.
No.
Do I want him to come in here as a backup quarterback that can go in and win you a game or two, or if he has to? I'm okay with that.
There's a few potential guys that could get cut at the quarterback position I would be interested in over Howell at this point. So
yeah,
I think that quarterback 2 is still in flux. I don't see Brosmer quite grabbing it this year. No, I don't think he's ready for that quarterback 2 spot. I do love what I've seen in Brosmer in the preseason and throughout the offseason, but I just don't think it's a smart idea to put him at that 2 spot right now.
No,
Brosmer is a stud.
And that's the thing. Yeah, he was trash on my point exactly, Josh, on that. But yeah, I know a lot of people are saying Brosmer, they're not going to have a backup quarterback with no NFL experience backing up a starter with no NFL experience.
And we know that Ripon is a guy that you could sneak through into the practice squad, which is probably most likely what's going to happen.
Right. So my thought with Ripon is they do move him to the practice squad, and so begins the trek for him towards coaching, quarterback coach, whatever all else kind of thing. You have him there to run the scout team and to mentor Brosmer and McCarthy and some of that other stuff. He's a smart guy. He's like
O'Connell. He's one of those players that's more meant to coach than what he is to actually see the field.
Yep, he's a Josh McCown type. He's a Kevin O'Connell type.
Sean Mannion was another good coach that played
Yep,
quarterback. You know,
yep.
that's
Or
how it
he
goes.
barely played quarterback, but yeah,
Right.
yep. Lone Wolf. That's my point exactly.
I'd even be okay with having Case Keenum come back in as a backup quarterback over Sam Howell.
Yeah,
So,
but so we'll see what happens there. But like I said, we're going with who's on the roster right now. So right now, I give Howell 2, but don't.
exactly. I'm on the same page with
I
you.
would not put money on that being the case
No. I
when the
think it's
season starts.
still very much in flux, even with some of the guys that aren't here right now. It's possible that they could show up here in purple and gold the next
Yeah,
couple of weeks.
no, we're not going to talk about that one. I saw somebody today doing that, and they did the WWE, and it was like you hear glass breaking, and all of a sudden you hear Creed come out saying, "By God, King, that's Kirk Cousins' music," and then
It's not happening. It's
no,
not
it's not.
happening.
That would be a circus we don't need.
And if it does happen, I'll eat crow. But that's how I'm. It's not happening. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be stupid. As far as finances go, that's just not a Quessy like move. He's not going to do that.
No, it's not. There's too much money involved there. All right, let's move on to the running backs. I have Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Xavier Scott, and C.J. Ham at fullback.
That's my list as well. We're on the same page there at running back.
Yep. Which means Ty Chandler is out, Trey Stewart is out, and Scrabble Valladay is out as well, the guy that we just brought in.
Right. And you know what? I tried my hardest to not have Ham on the roster, but there just really wasn't anybody as valuable at the last little bits of cutdowns I had that could make the roster, so I threw Ham back on there.
Yep. And especially in the special team side of things.
You're right.
Yeah, Ham is like, he's one of those guys.
He'll retire a Viking unless he gets one more season with some other team. But yeah, he'll either be with us or hang him up. I think so.
Yeah, Stephen, we talked about that last week.
About that.
I think it's a very strong possibility that could happen. All right, now here's the interesting one: wide receiver. Of course, Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, who is suspended, so does not count against.
I don't have him on my list because he's not going to count against.
He doesn't count against the 53. We have Jalen Naylor, which we don't know that he's going to be ready to play week 1.
Fuck Jalen Naylor until he proves me wrong. I'm sick of hearing about these fucking stone hands. We've seen him drop touchdown passes. I'm over it. I'm over it. Can't stay healthy. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. So the next guy I have is Ty Felton, who is making the roster. He was a 3rd round pick. He's not.
Who was that you said after Naylor?
Ty Felton.
Okay, yeah, yep. I got him on there too.
Then the next guy I have on the list is Miles Price. I think he won himself a job with his kick return stuff last week.
I got Price up my list as well. Our first 4 are all the same.
And then the other guy I have on right now is Tim Jones, just because of his blocking ability and special teams type stuff.
I love that you got the same list as me at receiver, so that's great. We are on the same page there. I got Tim Jones just because of the rapport that he's had with Max Brasmer. And he's been able to make splash plays. He's been able to make splash plays a lot more than some of these other guys that we have at receiver. And he's a decent blocker down the field. So stop yelling at me. Yeah, Tim Jones I got as my 5th guy as well. I like what I've seen out of him so far.
Yeah. Brandy, we talked about him a little bit ago. I would love to have Scary Terry on here. Just with the money kind of thing and stuff like that. I don't know that it's not really a Quasey move unless they're going to just say fuck it and push all the chips to the center of the table.
If you make a move like that, that's telling you this is the year that we're all in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're gonna make a splash, one more splash move at the receiver position.
I do too. Somebody's getting signed within the next by Tuesday. We'll put it that
You
way.
can get a good receiver for 1 year at between 15 and 17 million for that 1 year. You
Yeah.
know, a good productive receiver, and then to go 3 deep after week 3 would be fantastic. And then
Yeah.
that's one of those moves that gets you over that hill.
Right. Yes, Ant Felton had drops too, but he's a third
He's a
round draft
rookie.
pick rookie. They're not going to give up on him. Who was our punt returner last time? That was Miles Price.
Yes,
He had
Miles Price.
kicked off a couple of nice punt returns, and he had that 81-yard kick return as well. So
They
I think
got Lucky Jackson listed as the starter at punt returner, but I look for it.
no,
I look for it to be Price's job to lose because
yep.
I think last weekend's game against the Patriots is what gets Miles Price onto the roster.
I think
And
so
if he
too.
really builds off of that this weekend or tomorrow, he's a lock.
Yep. So yeah, as of right now, I have Lucky Jackson, who was squarely on the roster, I think last week, but after that horrendous game against the Patriots, I think he might have fallen off. So I have him missing it. Silas Bolden, Dante Fleming, Robert Lewis, Jeshwan Jones, and Thayer Thomas all.
So I got Jefferson, Felton, Naylor, Lucky Jackson, Price, and Tim Jones on my list.
Okay.
So we got. Oh, I got 6, and you got 5.
I only have 5 because I fully expect them to bring somebody else in.
Yeah,
so
I got 6, including
I took
Lucky
that.
Jackson.
I took that 6th, and I moved it to the next position here.
I can't compartmentalize that one game that Jackson's had and let it distinguish his whole offseason because by all accounts, Jackson has had a fantastic offseason.
He has had a good offseason, yeah. So
and
he could still make it.
By all accounts. So that's why I got him on my list of receivers. I'm carrying 6. So
yeah, I have him carrying 5 just for the simple fact that
yep, we just got Norris, where you been? We talked about that earlier too.
Price is first man up off the practice squad. That is a possibility too, Lone Wolf.
I think those return skills though is that something that we're looking for and we have to covet at some point.
Yeah, we haven't had a guy. We haven't had a guy that can return a punt around
Marcus
here.
Sherrills.
5 years.
Marcus Sherrills.
Yeah. So I like what Miles Price, and he came out and said he likes being a punt returner even more than he likes being a wide receiver.
Right.
So I mean, that kind of stuff right there. I mean, that's the kind of thing I like to hear from guys who are going to make their money as a special teamer.
Right. And most often than not, when you hear something like that, they turn out to be a pretty good fucking player at that position.
Exactly.
So
that's why I kept Price on the roster.
Yeah, and me too. Completely for the fact that he's a good return man.
Right.
So, and that would leave, for me, it would either leave Tim Jones or Lucky Jackson as the odd man out when Addison returns.
Mm-hmm. Or we trade for a guy, then they both end up off the roster. And then they're
odd man out anyways, yeah.
Right. So let's on to the tight end position. Of course, TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver are both locks. I
got 3 tight ends, and it comes down to this last guy. I think we're on the same page.
I kept 4 at the moment just because of I only kept 5 wide receivers. But I kept Nick Vanette and Ben Urasek.
See, I just stuck with Urasek with the youth there. I don't know. I think if you're going to keep Vanette, it's either Vanette or Ricci is who you keep. But I just got Hawk, Oliver, and Urasek, and that's it.
Vanette has surpassed Ricci in the time he's been here already. I mean, they used Vanette quite a bit last week.
Even Nesbitt had a pretty decent game last weekend in preseason too. So
Nesbitt's a practice squad guy. I think he goes there. If they only keep 3 tight ends, then it comes down to do they want to keep the youth with Urasek or do they want to keep the veteran presence with Vanette?
And I mean, how many 3 tight end sets are we going to run anyways, to be honest with you? So
well, there is that. Bartholomew is going to go on IR. He's been dealing with that back injury ever since minicamp. Still has yet to practice. So my guess is he goes on IR and is out for the year.
And you just stash him for the year, and hopefully he comes out next year and shows you something.
Yep. All right, another interesting part here: offensive line. Of course, we have the starters: Christian Darrisaw, Robinson, Kelly, Fries, and O'Neill.
Robinson, you mean Jackson?
Jackson. Sorry. Donovan Jackson. Sorry.
Right, of course. Your
Typo.
starting five are locks.
Typo.
Absolutely. Yep.
I don't know why I had Robinson on there, but my backups, I have Walter Rouse, Cam Jurgens, who is our backup center. He's locked in. Rouse, I think, is locked in.
Yep.
Then you have Blake Brandel. And my last guy I have is Justin Huber.
Is who?
Huber.
Oh, Joe Huber?
Joe Huber.
Yep.
I'm like you with names tonight. Holy shit.
I know, right? Right, yeah, our list there is the same. I got Darrisaw, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, O'Neill. I was on the bubble with Brandel. I think it could be a surprise cut. I mean, if we're not keeping Schooley, that's a surprise cut in itself right there, I think.
Well, that was my surprise cut out of here is they keep Brandel because he can play both guard and tackle.
That was my exact reason. There's a reason why we do a show together, Rhino. But yes,
Right.
my list is my list of O linemen is mirrors yours. So
yeah, because
Huber, Jurgens, Rouse, and Brandel being your backups to your starters. So I'm carrying 9 O linemen.
Right, Huber has played. I mean, he's been the highest rated guard the first both weeks in preseason so far. If you try to sneak him to the practice squad, he is getting. Yes, Cam Jurgens. What did I say?
No, it's Michael Jurgens, isn't it?
Michael Jurgens.
Cam Jurgens.
I'm just gonna fucking give up tonight. It's been a long week. It's been a long day.
Oh.
I was riding around in a tractor for 3 hours before I hopped on the show here with a swarm.
You got
of
Donovan Robinson and Cam Jurgens.
Donovan Robinson, Cam Jurgens, and
Cam man, are you trying to insinuate you want Cam Robinson back?
No, I do not want Cam Robinson back. I'm just.
We're not trading fucking Brandel for a receiver hand. My God.
Yes. That's why I'm just going to go with last names for the rest of the show here because I'm obviously fucking up every first name that I come with. So
if we're going
to trade give Lance shit about names, I can't give Lance shit about names anymore because I just fucked up the last 4 that I've said. So
all on one episode.
Yeah.
That's why I love being live, so they can all catch it too as we do.
Right, and that, yeah. So yeah, but if you cut Huber and try to put him to the practice squad, you're going to lose him.
We have got some great numbers tonight, Rhino. 47 on Twitter, 23 on YouTube, and 4 on Facebook.
73 people watching us right now.
Yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe and like the video.
Hit that bell, hit the like, hit the follow.
We're 5 years in, and we're still just crawling around as a minuscule Vikings podcast. Help us out a little bit. Subscribe and follow.
But like we always say, we're kind of like the guys sitting at the table at the bar having a beer and talking football kind of stuff.
And the fact that we really interact with our viewers, we go live every single week. So when you get it, you're getting us at face value, and we love the interaction between us and the commenters. That's my favorite.
And you get to see stupid shit like me blowing names all night long. So
we keep it real, man. That's been our slogan throughout.
Thank you very much.
100% honest opinions out of us, and we try to keep it real the best that we can and really keep it down to earth. So
yeah, we're not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass. We're going to tell you what we think. It may be stupid. It may be, and if you think it's stupid, you can tell us it's stupid. I don't, that's the beauty about all this. But so anyway, yeah, the guys I have missing the roster, and some of these guys are going to end up in the practice squad. I have School missing it, Logan Brown missing it. For Sean Lee, I think it's going to be a
Norse. That's great. Exactly. Yeah, people love this show. Yes.
And for those of you who did not see her interview with Kevin O'Connell, you need to go back and watch it. It's worth a look. That was one of the most uncomfortable interviews I have ever seen in my life. It was hilarious.
So offensive guys you don't got making the roster. Is that what you're getting at here now?
Yeah, the line guys. School, Logan Brown, Rashawn Lee, they like him, but he's a practice squad guy. Bird, Gonzalez, the guy we just brought in, and Leroy Watson. I have them all missing the roster. Some of those
I
guys
look
will.
for a couple of those guys to go on practice squad for sure.
Yep. And you get
That would
those
be great.
we're live. You get those every week. That's
And you know what? If for us to be able to do that, we would need somebody that would be able to come in and just go through hours and hours and hours and hours of episodes.
You do realize we have done well over 200 shows at this point. I don't even know what the number is anymore, but
you go back to our first couple of seasons though, and there's a few good ones.
There were some of those that were pretty rough. Yeah.
The one where I was melted upstairs in my room and it was like Barry White. Oh my god, yeah. We've got our moments in the past for sure.
Oh yeah. But that's our niche and that's who we are and what we do. So.
Kay Adams is such a very beautiful lady.
But she knows her stuff. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I've always been a fan of Kay Adams. I mean, she does, she's not like some of these reporters out there that just go out and spout stupid bullshit. You got her. You've got.
It also helps that we're her Super Bowl pick as well this year. So
yeah, well, yeah, she's all in on JJ McCarthy. Unlike some other people, Rossini. And then you got what's her name off Good Morning Football.
Yeah, it's the Minnesota lady from blew the Gallahorn last year.
I can't think.
I can't think of her name either.
I can't think of her name right now. Jamie Erdahl.
There you go. Yep.
I got that name right. Anyway, let's move on off that. We kind of got off in the ditch. Let's pull her back up on the road.
Back onto the road, yeah.
All right, let's move over to the defensive. So you and I both have 25 people on offense, right?
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
Either way,
like I said, we've gone off the rails here tonight, guys. But
our lists are definitely 53 apiece, so don't think that we're just putting people in here and plug it and play. No, we've got the numbers. So,
yep. All right, on to the defense. Defensive line had to quick do an update on this one because I made this up before the trade yesterday, but
extremely younger on defensive line. This is night and day as far as as far as age goes, and I love it. I love it.
So making the roster, I have Jonathan Allen, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Javon Hargrave, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Jalen Redmond, and Elijah Williams.
Yeah, I got Hargrave, Allen, Redmond, LDR, Ingram Dawkins, and Elijah Williams. So I think we're on the same page there as well.
Yep. Those missing, I have Jonathan Harris, Taki Tiamani, who I have going to the practice squad, and then Travis Bell, who has flashed a little bit, so he could be a practice squad guy too. But
I mean, and then this is just it. Had you kept Phillips, you would have had to have let go of somebody that's young with a ton of potential. And I don't like that. And you're also
you were looking at one of the three of LDR, Jalen Redmond, or Elijah Williams not making the roster.
I think LDR might have been the odd man out because they are high on Williams.
I think what they would have done with LDR, being he's dealing with a little bit of an issue, is they would have put him on short-term IR, so he'd have been out the first 4 weeks, and then they'd pushed that decision down the road.
But you know what? And this is the biggest point of all, is they did what they did because they believe in who they have.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, Williams over Tiamani easily.
There's not even a question about that, Ant. Elijah Williams has been one of the best defensive linemen we've had.
He has been a diamond in the rough. Talk about really finding somebody out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, he was a rookie camp invite. He wasn't even a UDFA signing. He was a rookie camp invite out of Morgan State.
I'm not saying he's John Randall.
No.
But he was a walk-on, and he fought his way onto this roster.
He has absolutely everything he has done, he has earned it.
And that's the type of player that I want on my squad.
Yep. Lone Wolf, I agree with this. Taki Tiamani is going to be your first guy up off the practice squad. Because they like him as well. It's just That's again, like Lance just said, that's why we got rid of Harrison Phillips, because it was we went from being, having a bunch of Jags on here last year, Bullard and some of those other guys.
Can't even name them because you can't remember.
Right. They're just guys to
Right.
having
Tillery.
the yeah, Jerry Tillery, another one. Yeah. I mean, to the Vikings having legitimately going to be having one of the better front sevens in the NFL.
Moving away from Harrison Phillips was definitely a move towards the future,
Yep.
in my opinion.
No, it was.
And like I said, what Quessie's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers, man.
Yep. So anyway, let's move on to the edge rusher outside linebackers. I have Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, Gabe Murphy, and Bo Richter all making the roster.
This is saying a lot as well, Norris. I love that comment because Williams has shown more than Taki Tiamani has. And
he absolutely has.
Just an offseason, whereas Taki Tiamani's been around for a couple of years now.
Right. Because Williams is showing some pass rush ability too. Taki is, he's kind of that Harrison Phillips kind of guy where he's a run stuffer. I mean, he is more of a true nose tackle, which, I've been harping that the Vikings need and have needed for a long, ever since they moved to the 3-4.
He's more of a true nose tackle, yes.
But
when you got these hybrids like Ingram Dawkins that can play anywhere along the line, it's great. Elijah Williams you could put him at nose as well. He's got some size to him. So
yeah, if you need to.
But anyways, you're going on to edge. Go ahead and repeat that edge room for me.
Grenard, Van Ginkel, Turner, Murphy, and Richter.
Those are my 5 guys as well.
Okay. So that means Cam
Richter
Gill
was really on the bubble for me. He was one of those guys I came back to and put on my list. So he was on the bubble for me, but I popped him on there.
And he's a guy that if they decide to keep an extra player someplace else, could get moved to the practice squad, I think. Cam Gill, I believe, is he misses Tyler Batty. I think they like him enough. He probably ends up at the practice squad.
I think Batty's a practice squad guy for sure. Yeah.
And then Chaz Chambliss, whatever.
And Norse, that's a great comment too. We don't. I mean, Flores' defense is on a defense of its own. It's the most exotic defense, I believe, in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just run a 3-4. He runs your 4-3, 3-4,
5-2
bear, multiple looks. And the one thing that he said coming in, he's like, I don't run any certain defense. I run what's best for the game that week.
Well, yeah, because that was.
And that's when you get players that can play every position on that defense from all your players.
And that's
why he has players that play corner that also play safety, that can play safety in a heartbeat. He's got your Josh Metellus that plays every fucking position on defense. Yep. So this defense is unlike any other defense in the NFL.
Right.
This has got so many multiple faces that it makes it hard for the other team to really game plan against Flores.
Yep.
And when you're going into year 3, when this team's becoming a masterclass at defense, this defense is going to cause so much hell for so many teams this year. And if our offense can stick with it and really bloom, watch the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move to the inside linebackers. I have Cashman, Pace, Eric Wilson, and Kobe King making the roster.
Those are my 4.
Okay, which means Austin Keys, Dorian Malsey, and Max Tooley all are let go. None of those guys have impressed me enough to where I care if they go on the practice squad or not.
Keys has been the only one that I've really been
Keys,
okay.
Keys has done a little bit, I guess.
Yep.
But,
yeah, we're keeping Eric Wilson.
Yep.
I've always been a big Eric Wilson fan. I loved Wilson in his first stint here as a Viking.
Yeah, he's always been a solid player.
My biggest memory of Wilson, other than the fact is he's kind of a ball hawk at the linebacker position, is I loved his pump block where he busted up his nose and you just seen the blood on his visor. It was a huge play against Green Bay. I loved it. So,
yeah, no, he's there as a backup guy and that wily veteran, that can step in and help out if need be. I think they got something like that, so that if, say, Cashman has to miss a game or two, you don't have to give that dot over to Ivan Pace, and you can just let Pace be Pace.
And that's the best thing for Pace. He plays, I believe, so much better when he's not worrying about the green dot and just able to go out there and be a dog.
Yeah.
So,
And that's my and yeah, Norris just the same point. He's a good drop and cover linebacker where Pace kind of struggles at something like that. Cashman's
He
pretty
hates
good
it
at
though.
it.
He hates it when you bring it up. So Pace is working at his craft as far as
Oh, he
pass coverage
absolutely
goes.
is.
But for me, you just look at Cashman, you look at Pace, and it's natural for me to see Cashman with that green dot over Pace, just
Mm-hmm.
looking at him. You
Yep.
know,
Pace is that Tasmanian devil
Pace,
guy that you send on your blitzes and your stunts
you
and
just
shove
read
him
my
up in the
mind.
hole.
You just read my mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Pace, you want to let loose, and Cashman's the one that keeps everything organized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't set the world on fire, Norris, to start with. I had a little higher expectations for him, honestly, than what we've seen out of him
You
so
start
far.
him on
But
special teams, and if his number doesn't get called this year too often, that's fine by me.
yeah,
Let him
I mean,
develop.
he was a draft pick, so they give him the benefit of the doubt, I
You,
think. And he,
you let him develop, and you play him on special teams, and
yep,
hopefully you get something out of him.
yeah, and that's going to be exactly the point. All right, let's move on to the cornerbacks. This is kind of an interesting spot too.
My list has
Uh,
not changed since day one, Rhino. I think I named it the first episode back, and it has not changed at all.
yeah, yeah, Lone Wolf agreed. That's what Pace is not the best coverage linebacker. He's more built to blitz and come up and stuff the run and that kind of stuff. Cornerbacks, we have Byron Murphy Jr., Isaiah Rogers, Jeff Okuda as your starters. Then I have Zemiah Vaughn, Mekhi Blackman, and Dwight McGlothern as the
Your
three
six corners.
backups. I have
You have
six
six
corners.
corners. Yeah, where you got the same list.
So then missing out.
Ambry Thomas might push Vaughn for that final spot, but I look for Ambry Thomas to make the practice squad for sure.
Yeah, I think he could be that veteran guy that goes in the practice squad. Yeah, then the other two guys, Reddy Stewart and Keenan Garber, I don't know that I've even seen them on the field. So
No.
then on to safety, I have four safeties. We have Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson, Josh Metellus, and Jay Ward.
See, I got my four safeties, but I gotta say, when it comes down to Ward, yes, I think Ward makes the 53 just because of his knowledge of the system. But Halassi might be that surprise guy that makes the roster over Ward because of his especially because of his versatility, and because I know Ward can play cornerback too, but we've all seen Jay Ward play cornerback,
We
and
don't
I
want
don't
to.
want to
We
see
don't want to
that.
see Jay Ward play cornerback.
So, but I like what I see out of Halassi a little bit more than what I like out of Jay Ward, and I think they came from the same class too, so they're about the same age. But for me, it's interchangeable there. I would almost like to see Halassi on the roster over Ward, but Ward
I think
with the
I think
familiarity.
Halassi and I think Tavier Thomas too. Both of those guys, I think, go to the practice squad.
See, I
So
haven't
they
seen much out of Thomas this pre or the off throughout the off season.
he's kind of stepped up a couple of times in practice earlier on. So I don't have him making the roster, but I think he could land on the practice squad.
I
But I
got,
do.
like I said, it's between Ward and Halassi for me for that fourth safety spot.
I think Halassi ends up on the practice squad though, and I think he will be a guy that probably gets called up at some point in time during the regular season. So, okay, so that gives us 25 on offense, 25 on defense. That leaves us
And
with
then your
the
three specialists.
three specialists.
And the only surprise, we might as well skip over kicker is Ricard. We
Yep.
all know that.
Riker's
We all know our long snappers, DiPaolo.
DePaulo.
I got Chapman making for the punter.
I do as well.
And I think a lot of it has to go with that wild card he has in his pocket that he can. And he's not gonna do the banana punt every time he punts. And that's the luxury of it. Of
Right.
it all, because he can whip that out if he feels it's needed.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Right, exactly. You whip out that wild card, and like I said, you don't banana punt it every time. You keep the other opposing special teams on their feet.
Can anybody spell what name, Norsefius?
Halassi?
Hailasse.
Khalif. Anyways.
But yeah, we're done with talking safeties. But yeah, I think Oscar Chapman beats out Ryan Wright because Wright
And
again
it's a
is that.
punter. It's a punter. And if
Well,
it's time for freshness at the punt, if they're feeling freshness at the punter, and then the guy that they brought in isn't making them feel ill, more often than not, they're going to go with the new face.
well,
So
but the key thing to me that gave me the idea that they're probably going to make a change on here is that Chapman was holding for Reichert
that is
during the
very
game
key.
last
That
week.
is very key. Yes.
Because if there was no chance on that, then Wright would have been out there holding for him because they don't
And
want to
the thing
mess
to
up.
me is, right now, right, no pun intended. Right now, Ryan Wright's ass is probably on fire. So
Mhm.
he's got probably the hottest seat in the club right now is Ryan Wright.
Yeah.
He needs to come out and have like a net 70-yard punt in this next game. I think
Or
to
yeah,
keep his job,
boom every one of his punts in the coffin corner out at the 2 yard line or some fucking
which
thing
he's
like
not
that.
known for. So
No. But and that's the thing. Another thing with Oscar Chapman is, when he does pull that banana punt out or he's got like 4 or 5 different variations that he throw in there at any
right,
various times.
because he's got that
That
Aussie
banana,
football too that he can kick.
right?
So
That
Aussie
banana
style.
punt is if they're not expecting it, that thing is very hard to field. We saw that in the game against Houston in week 1. We had that, and then Ty Felton went down there and freaking leveled the guy, and Houston fell back on the ball. But I mean,
Exactly, Lone Wolf.
that's the kind of stuff that you want.
Great comment by Lone Wolf here again. Yeah, that's just it. Wright has got the huge leg, but the directional aspect of his punting isn't up to snuff in my opinion.
Right?
So
Yeah, and that's the thing. Having a boomer of a leg is great,
and
but
we've seen it as well, Rhino. Go ahead and finish. I'll let you finish before you forget. Go ahead.
but
I'll get
you know
afterwards.
if you're going to be booming it and then you kick it into the end zone and it comes back, that's fucking irrelevant. You need if that boom, you have to be able to have the placement to get that dig in at the 5 yard line and have it, down to the
And
7 or the coffin corner, like we just talked about, getting it out of bounds between the inside the 10 yard line kind of
Coffin
thing.
Corner is a lost treasure in my opinion, which
It
needs to be used
absolutely
more
it
often.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so with Ryan Wright is another thing. We've seen him shank a few punts here in the day. And that is not
Well,
something I want to see either. There's nothing that
no,
really makes me pull my hair out more is when a punter nets a 5 or 10-yard punt, and you're like, what the fuck?
yeah.
So
Yeah, but so I
love the enthusiasm, Norris, as always.
yep. But no, I think it's going to come down. I think Chapman's going to win the job. I do.
You know.
I could be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling tells me that.
But
And then
anyways,
as we talked about, I have Miles Price making the roster as a wide receiver, but also being our primary kick and punt returner.
right. I agree. You pop him in at both.
Yep.
And hopefully he just blossoms and can continue to grow in that. He loves it, so
Yeah, I mean,
let's see if he becomes a master of his position.
right. I mean, and I'm not comparing him to a guy, but if he can become a Devin Hester kind of guy that's what he gets
Dante
known
Hall.
for,
You know, the human
doesn't need,
joystick.
doesn't need to be a great wide receiver. If he can be a great kick and punt returner,
Or
you can
like
carve out a
Cordell
very
Patterson.
nice career in this league doing that.
Yes. So
All
I think
right.
that about covers it. I think we're rolling at an hour and 10 minutes here. We got
Yep.
our 53-man projections out.
Anything quick you want to see in this final preseason game?
I'm interested to see these guys fighting and vying for the last few spots in the roster that are available. It's the third preseason game. What is there really that you're looking at other than competence from your backups? So
Mm-hmm.
this really comes down to who are the final few that are scrapping for the jobs that are available.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I want to see if guys like Joe Huber can seal the deal and get himself
Exactly.
on the roster. I think Elijah Williams has got himself on the roster. I think the Harrison Phillips trade kind of cemented that. making sure guys like Mekhi Blackman, who's not
Oh,
shown a ton yet, and
right. He's been underwhelming.
yep,
A
and
good point here is it's a lot telling of the guys who aren't playing
the
this
guys
weekend.
who
Is
are
a
not
huge tell.
playing are either safe or they are guys that they're trying to actively trade.
Right. Or they're planning on putting on IR. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a big thing for this weekend. The guys that aren't on the field is very telling about what's going to happen with them.
yep.
So,
That being said, at the quarterback position, I think Howell gets a decent run, and I think Brosmer's going to get quite a bit of work.
I think okay. So I think you give Howell a quarter and a half, and then you give Rippon half of the second quarter, half of the third quarter, and you give Brosmer the rest of the third quarter into the fourth quarter. I think Brosmer's the only thing
I th- I think
he's
you
not
might
going to
get.
be.
I think you might put Brosmer in earlier to get him some work with some of
I
the
was just going to get at that
twos and
too.
threes.
But honestly, if you do not keep Brosmer on the 53, you're going to piss off a lot. I mean, and not that it matters to KOC and Quessy, but there's going to be a lot of disgruntled Vikings fans if Brosmer does not make the 53 because he will not make it through waivers.
Yeah. Uh, Xavier Scott, I think, might play, but I think he may not as well because
And
when we brought
exactly why we went and picked up a running back as well.
right we brought
Maybe
in
Scott doesn't play this weekend, and that's telling you right there. Then he's your number 3 running back.
we brought in Scrabble. We've got Trey Stewart, and we still got Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler is probably going to get the start run to see if he can maybe show a little bit of something.
And then maybe Scott. If Scott's sitting, then Chandler's
If
the one that's
Scott's
got to
sitting, then he's made the roster. Yeah.
right. And then unless Chandler goes up and lights the world on fire in the last preseason game, but that's not going to happen. So
No, and he's not just going to magically figure out how to block
no,
this last preseason
no,
game.
no. But I think Scott's a shoe in for the 53 over Chandler. I think we've seen the last of Chandler here, and his ass might be on fire like Ryan Wright's ass is this weekend too. Because
Yeah. I
so
think
yeah,
you're
that's
right
what
on
the
that.
last preseason game's really all about. Is just watching these last guys on the roster really fight it out for the few remaining spots that are there.
Yeah, discussing act. Vikings fans love Harrison Phillips, and he is a plus class act human being, no doubt about that.
Right, and that's the biggest thing we're losing is him as a human being and what he meant to the
Mm-hmm.
locker room, and
Yep.
the state of Minnesota as it with his all of his outside of the game things that he does.
Yeah.
So
Great dude. Wish him all the best. And NFL is a rough business sometimes. It just is. I mean, he signed a contract extension last year, and he's not going to get to play underneath it.
right, but he's getting paid. But like I said, I love the move. I think it's a move for the future, and it really lets these young guys come in and get a bite of the fucking pie. So
Yep, absolutely. So, but anyway, we've gone on for almost an hour and 15 minutes here. So I think we will wrap it up because 5:30 comes awful early tomorrow morning, and I do have to work on Friday. So, yay me. But want to thank you guys all for joining us. Great attendance tonight. We've been having 70
oh,
plus people watching
damn near
almost the
100
entire.
people tonight watching us live. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely, we're
Like
up
I said,
to.
we're still craping and clawing 5 years in. We're still trying to put ourselves out there. Um, yeah,
Yep, absolutely. Great comments, great discussion out of the chat. You guys, as always, that's why we do these live shows so we can interact with you guys and get your insights, your comments, your questions, all that stuff. It makes the show what it is. So
yeah. These guys truly do make the show what it is. Well, a
yep,
big part of our show falls back onto the shoulders of the guys that show up and put their opinions out there in the comment section. That's why I love most about the show is just
yep,
interacting with the people that watch. It's just like we've always kind of echoed. We're sitting around at a bar, just talking Vikings.
yep. We got the OGs who are here every week. We had a lot of new people commenting this week too, and that is awesome. I love to see that. Thank you guys for checking us out. If you haven't done so, of course, hit the like, hit the follow, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Follow us on all three of them. That would be great.
Our
Love that.
biggest our biggest platform, I believe, is Facebook, followed by Twitter. So if you could go up and nail, and then of course YouTube, we stream on there. But those
Yep.
top two, go follow them, subscribe, all the socials.
Yep.
So
Facebook monetizes this, so go over and hit that one first. But
that's why I'm plugging it more.
right.
Facebook monetizes us, so that helps us out. If you want to go Vikings Uncensored on Facebook, you'll find us there. Hit that like and follow.
Yep. But with that, again, shout out to the Filipino fan club who always watch. I didn't see them here tonight, but I'm sure they'll be hopping on later. Shout out to my lovely wife upstairs because she'd be mad if I don't. And with that, again, thank you, everybody. And why don't you take us out of here, Lance?
Yeah, I think I feel like I said everything I needed to say in the last minute of the show here. I think you guys all caught it. I love all you guys. I love the new names. Conrad, we're talking about new names. Another good new name in the comment section.
Lone Wolf has been here all night. He's had some great comments too. So
I think we got a couple more Thursday night episodes, and then we'll start back to our weekend schedule like we did last year, Fridays and Saturdays.
Probably shooting end of September. At worst case, 1st of October, we'll go to the Friday night. The weekend shows again. But
we'll shoot 10:30 next Thursday, and then maybe take a week off before the start of the season. But we'll get there when we get there. So.
Yep. We'll let you know next week, but we'll be on next week anyway, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, with that, thank you guys.
Skull.
All right, have a good weekend, everybody.